something all serious to end it out here.
That prosecutor weighing in as a mom, and I quote her there. We'll talk about the legalities and implications of all of it now. We do want to welcome to the show two of
Very
our guests
interested
who
to see
are
how Fox deals with this one.
here today, Cheryl Casoni and Steve Hilton, because we have been talking about this with the three of us, Kaylee and Emily. So, Steve and Cheryl, thank you very much. Steve, I do want to go to you first to first welcome you into the program and with the breaking news, get your thoughts on it.
Well, first of all, I just want to say an instant reaction to that prosecutor there. I thought she gave an incredibly impressive performance there, both professional in terms of the way she laid out the facts, but also a lot of humanity there. And I think that is something that was really striking. Let's move to the details of this case, and then I have a broader point I'd like to make. First of all, as you just said, the facts that were laid out there, absolutely devastating in relation to the role of the parents here. And I think, anyone would look at that and say that this approach that the prosecutor is taking is completely justified in terms of the parents. But the thing that really leapt out at me, and you saw a question about that at the end, a couple of questions, particularly a strong one at the end, was the role of the school. And that phrase that we heard, that the child was returned to the classroom. And the prosecutor said there that she said, I don't want to chastise anybody. I think anyone listening to that would say, yes, we do want to chastise the school that returned
Not the parents.
that kid to the classroom after the facts that were laid out today. That is an astonishing revelation, and I think needs further follow-up. But the broader point
That's
I
insane.
want to end on is when you hear something like this, we have to think about what's going on in our society, that you have families that have got to this point where you have 15-year-olds that are thinking like this, behaving like this, parents that are thinking and behaving like this. And I've said this before on this show and elsewhere, the way we raise our children, the way we think about family life in this country, it's the single most important issue. It affects everything else. Obviously here today.
This was your people thinking about it. They were thinking family first. They were like, there's a leak now that apparently the mom had texted the son after he had gotten caught drawing pictures of him shooting people. She said, LOL, something along the lines of, LOL, you got to learn to not get caught. Like that's conservative family values right there.
Today, we're talking about the very extreme end of that. But right across the board, when you see kids that are addicted to their phones, you see family breakdown, you see so much going wrong with the way we raise children in this country, the way we think about family. We've got to prioritize it much more in our political arguments, because there are things that we can do. We don't just throw our hands up and say, well, this is the way modern life is. We can do something about it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We should do
they've
something
been
about
charged,
it, as
so.
well as focus on the specifics of this case.
I have to say, just from a really honest place,
yeah.
I can exhale when I hear you talking like that. I was somewhat holding my breath as a parent. Kaylee, you were too. We were just gulping a little bit. And hearing you talk about it like that, Steve, allows us to just exhale. Like, it's okay to care about every single person in this scenario and want better for every single person in this scenario and not let anybody off the hook if there is one that is needed to be laid down. Like, that's what you express, and it is raw, it is real, and it feels necessary. Cheryl, as we watch this, we're going to learn more about this case, and it then becomes more forensic.
It's like they're trying to soften it, right? They're trying to, because they know their viewers. They know that their viewers are people very much like the parents of this shooter. And that's what she was kind of hinting at there. I know we can all take a side. We want better for everybody in this. Everybody in this scenario. The parents in this scenario. We want better for the parents in this scenario, like you, because you're like our viewer. Although if there's a hook, we gotta. They messed up, so we gotta do the hook thing. I can't let them off of that. Weird take there.
Going forward, I feel like, there were certain things that Prosecutor McDonald said, I can't say this, I can't say that. And we get that. We've watched enough cases.
She does have this total like deadpan delivery though. It's always kind of struck me as pretty weird.
We've covered them now. We cannot jump to conclusions about how a case and its charges are going to lay out. Your thoughts?
What I found most interesting was the role of technology and social media in this case, as she was speaking about the fact that the teacher saw the note on the desk of him and took a picture. That's all evidence this prosecutor can use.
I don't know if you even want it. You could probably broaden that to just a culture problem, right? I mean, I'm very pro Second Amendment. I'm very pro. I don't want to see a nanny state. It's like, you know, we got guns. Guns are out there. But we have a sickness in our culture for sure. A vapidness that religion often is able to fill the gap with, and I don't think the religion offers much more. Of course, we saw the picture of the shooter going, you know, there was some of that going on. Yeah, no, I would like to see changes to the culture more broadly that would hopefully impact our relationship with weapons as well. I think we need something to believe in this country, and it should not be any of the major religions, because they're pretty antithetical to what I believe this country stands for. And I think they're dangerous as well to the planet. But that's, you know, what there is a sickness, right? I mean, there's this kid on some level, and now he should be held responsible to the highest. I'm gonna call.
Yeah, Kaylee.
I've got to tell you, listening as a mom to what we just heard, I mean, my stomach was just churning, because you think about sending your child to school and you're entrusting their care to a principal, to a teacher, to a school system, and losing your child. And imagine watching a press conference after you've just experienced the most grievous loss any person could feel on this earth, and you learn that this individual was one of the 44.3% who articulate their intent in advance, and he did so on a drawing on his desk. It can't be more clear than he drew dead bodies on his desk. The note said, quote, thoughts won't stop, help me, my life is useless, the world is dead. And a teacher caught that note, decided to take a picture of it.
How much... This is the funny thing they're trying to do here. They're trying to shift the blame from the parents to the school. That's the case they have to make, because they're like, all right, their parents are like our average viewers, so we can't really like go hard on them. Let's divert all the responsibility to the school. Like, okay, yes, should the school have probably just expelled this kid for something like that? Yeah, probably. But that's what happened with the Parkland shooter, and he still had a gun, and he still came back to the school and shot it up. That's, at a certain point, it becomes the parents. Now, the Parkland shooter didn't have parents, unfortunately, and that's what made his situation pretty fucking sad and tough. Like, he was on a one-way ticket to destruction. And again, it's not to say any kind of blame, or, I mean, or not to divert any kind of blame. It's 100%, but exactly, the school tried to get the parents involved, but at a certain point, if the parents are downplaying it and say, oh, he's just funny like that, he's just being edgy, oh, you don't understand, some whatever they were saying, I don't know what they were saying. I can't imagine how you defend that kind of behavior. But clearly this is a situation where, does the school deserve some kind of blame? Yeah, I'll grant that. Sure, they probably could have maybe taken some more severe action, maybe gotten him professional psychological help, put him in some kind of institution, recommended some kind of institution for him to go into. But, well, yeah, no, you can't. But you can, if they're having that and showing signs of violence, then there's probably some action you should take. But I think a much higher portion of the blame should be given to the parents in this situation. And Fox News has an agenda to not do that, very obviously from this segment. They want their average viewer to walk away from it like, yeah, well, who knows what the parents, it's not on the parents, they send their kid to the government school and the government school failed them. Like, they want to just completely divert away.
of it because it was so alarming, sends him to the principal's office where he's able to alter those notes, scratch them out.
Who allows that to happen?
Who allows it to happen?
You're calling parents in, you've taken a picture of the note,
This
you
is
allow
crazy,
that
dude.
child to sit there. And the word help is so powerful. We have to have the heart to want to help.
Really?
All the people spherically that are being hurt.
Spherically? What is he in that sphere? Is that what you're saying? We got to help the dude who shot in cold blood his classmates? Like, I'm speaking to someone who had some issues, let's say, with people in our school, you know, in my high school, but never, God, never even once, like, I hate blood and shit. Like, I like violence and like TV shows and stuff because it's totally cartoon to me, but like, if I even see like a drop of blood in real life, I start to get faint, and that shit has always kept me from ever having any kind of violent fantasy. So maybe I don't know what it's like to have a brain like that when you get into those low places, you go to a violent place. But I'm sorry, man, that's the deviancy in humanity, and you got to root that shit out from the source. Like, there is no room for people who turn to violence like that. Like, there's no compassion for people like that either. Like, compassion is not what this kid needed. This kid needed to be taught the rules. This kid needed to be taught it. If you have these tendencies, well, guess what? You better fucking fight them. And we'll give you some tools to fight them with, but you're going to do it in a confined space where you cannot harm anybody. That help was so powerful. We needed to help him. He was just a poor little innocent Christian boy. And where did he go wrong? And he was doing charity work. And it's like, no, fuck you.
These instances, like,
yes.
I know it's
Motherfuck
hard, and that's what Steve has so beautifully said today, or at least my interpretation.
So beautifully, dude,
Steve,
get over your
it was
fucking
so healing
self.
to hear you
Jesus
say
Christ.
that you have to care about everybody here because they're all hurting. But if there's culpability,
You have to care. Dude, where was this energy with, oh my God, dude, with BLM? Oh my God. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Where is that energy, bro? Where is that take? Oh, yeah, there's been some violence in these relatively overall peaceful and giant protests. There has been some violence, but I think we need to take a step back and be like, how do we help these people? What can we do as a platform to motivate politics in a direction that will help everybody in the spherical whatever the fuck? None of that energy, bro. Saucy. Absolutely saucy.
we got to lay that down too. So let's talk about that, Emily. So we were talking.
This is crazy, dude. I mean, this is fucking crazy, right?
As
like,
that was laying.
I don't think, even the libbiest of libs on the MS of the MSNBCists, I don't even think some anti or some BLM protester went out there and had a mass shooting. What is this? They're now yo, what, dude? Oh, you bitch! I can't read it. I just saw fugitives. That's all I saw. Oh my God! Catch them at the next RNC convention. That's where they'll be. That's so crazy. Hold on. We need the facts on this. Oh my God, dude. They're on the run. Oh, that's absolutely insane. Look at this fucking guy. Freakazoid. A regular Bonnie and Clyde right here. God, she's a literal Karen. She's the archetypal Karen. If you took every Karen video and used AI to assemble an average Karen, this is exactly what you'd get. Gun shop to buy. On Monday, when a teacher reported seeing their son searching online for ammunition, his mother did not see. This is what it was about. Okay, yeah, this was the text. LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn to not get caught in this liberal hellscape we live in. They won't even let you buy ammunition to kill your classmates with. Jesus Christ. This is insane. They didn't do this much legwork for any of the other mass shooters. What is it about this guy? Left town of their own, returning to be. Lawyers for the parents said Crumblies had not fled, but had left town for their own safety. What? They cannot run from their part in this tragedy, Sheriff Michael Bouchard said. Bobby Bouchard. Damn it, Bobby. Ever since the 19th Columbine, counted, blah, 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 blah. No way saying that activists should always result in a criminal prosecution against parents, but the facts of this case are so egregious. Yeah. I'm angry as a mother, angry as a prosecutor. Alarming note scrawled with images of a gun, person who been shot, laughing emoji. Blood everywhere. The thoughts won't stop. Help me. As news... Oh, wait, hold on. I'll go scroll up a little. As news of the shooting tore through Oxford, prosecutors said Jennifer Crumbley texted her son, Ethan, don't do it. Wow. Passionate. Oh, my God. James Crumbley called 911 to say that a weapon was missing from his house and that his son could be the gunman at Oxford High. Law enforcement say the gunman fired more than 30 rounds. Okay. Jesus Christ, dude. A lawyer for Ethan Crumbley pleaded not guilty. Crazy. Usually shooters just plead guilty, try and get the best they can. Strong law, weak law. I don't know. Would gun... Look, I'm one of my biggest tenets in my core grounding axioms is harm reduction. So if stricter gun laws can reduce harm on any level, I'm for them. I think there is a deeper rot that I don't think gun laws alone will necessarily resolve.
Playing out with the charges against the parents. And it went pretty much the way that you said it was going to go previous to that, right? So there's got to be something there. What did you see?
So this is my interpretation of it. So first of all, in Michigan, it is not a crime to gift a gun to a minor. I want to be clear about that. Where the laws come into play are possession aspects, which a minor cannot possess a gun in public without the direct supervision of an adult, which is why Crumbley is being charged in part with a weapons offense. But where the parents failed specifically, where the hook is that the involuntary manslaughter charge brings with it a component that if they negligently omit to perform a legal duty, then they are on the hook, whether unintentional or not, for manslaughter. A felony there in the state of Michigan brings with it up to a 15-year jail sentence. And I want to point out specifically where the prosecutor said that they failed. So the parents failed in the fact that, first of all, when they were made aware that he was searching for ammunition, to Cheryl's point about the text messages, the mother made light of it. Jennifer laughed, LOL, just don't get caught. Secondly, the fact that they failed, in the words of the prosecutor, they failed to check the backpack of their son when they were all in the meeting that the teacher called after finding that egregious note that laid out, to your point, a premeditated, really the premeditated evidence, or the evidence that it was premeditated. In that meeting, they failed to search the backpack when they knew they had A, gifted their child the gun, B, he had posed for social media pictures with it saying, my Christmas gift, C, had searched for ammo, and D, had drawn that horrifying image that included blood, I am useless, blood everywhere, the thoughts won't stop, help me, laughing emoji, the world is dead. She said they failed to ask if he had a gun, they failed to inspect the backpack for the presence of the gun, and then they resisted the idea of their son leaving the school. Instead, she said, they left the school without their son, and he was returned to the classroom.
All right, two questions for you, just real quickly, follow-ups, right? So I want to try to understand the different culpabilities there for the school, because the school is looking at this through two different lanes.
Right.
One is protecting everybody at the school, and the other is the mental health of the student. And so when you bring the parents in and you say, well, how could they send them back to the classroom? How could they send him back to the classroom?
So the prosecutor answered that, sort of addressed it by saying, criminally, it has not risen to the level she feels of a criminal culpability by the school. Now, we've talked a moment ago about the difference between the mental health accountability the school has, the responsibility they have in that realm, and also criminal accountability. Let's take that off the table for a moment. There, the school specifically said you need to have your child in counseling within 48 hours per their state's regulation
Weirdly
of
concerned.
having that really alarming note, as you just said. The teacher documented it, immediately notified the principal, immediately notified the parents, took out the kid immediately. So you could argue from a mental health perspective, they fulfilled their duties.
They did what they were supposed to do.
However, on that, to Steve's point and the prosecutor's point, she said, as a resident, as a mom, it's still egregious and it's
horrifying. Did they ask if the family had a gun? I mean, see, these are the things that are not... That's why when people say, oh, you got to defund the police. If you have a police officer standing in that room, that discussion's different.
Oh, come on, dude.
Okay?
It is. And
it's a different
Give me
discussion.
a fucking
One note,
break.
at 1:22 p.m., the mother texted her son, Ethan, don't do it. She clearly knew he was some sort of threat in the...
Oh, bro. Don't do it. Come on, we have mothers in the room, right? Like, what would, if you found out your son was about to shoot up a school, is that your impassioned plea? Ethan, don't do it. No, stop.
Father, upon learning there had been a shooting, immediately drove home to see if his weapon was there. These parents clearly had an inkling or an understanding that their son was a threat to someone, and the fact that they did not take action and even tell the school that there was a weapon involved in their household that was just purchased on Black Friday. It is beyond negligence, to quote the prosecutor, but I think that is even an understatement.
It'll be interesting to see if there's...
We agree. Good shit. Okay.
There's any evidence of call records.
That's all I needed to hear.
Parents reached out.
It's like the CNN clip with Joe Rogan, the horse dewormer. Like they spend most of the clip kind of bullshit and I don't even want to call it, because it is horse dewormer. But then at the end of the clip, they clarified, like, yes, it is a horse dewormer, but it's, he took the human version. We want to clarify there is a human dosage. And in this clip, it's like, all right, the parents have, for most of the video, it's like, we gotta worry about everybody in this situation, everybody in the sphere of the situation. But finally, at the end, we get a little, the parents are criminally negligent here, at the very least.
To anybody, if they reached out to 911, it could be my kid is their wife. Who knows? I mean, we just don't know enough yet.
They said, did anyone call law enforcement, and what was the duty? Was there a duty breached there to fail to notify law enforcement, as we're understanding the course of events?
Well, that's that. Yo, this shit is crazy. With the parents of the Michigan shooter,
dude, wow.
On the run.
What I was thinking though, dude, if they're gonna charge the parents for involuntary manslaughter, like, couldn't they charge the school for the same shit? Like, I feel like the school had some blame there as well.
Well,
like, they let him go back to class.
Well, here's the thing, right? So I would agree. Yeah, I think the school should have kicked him out. However, I think it's a much more egregious that they did what I think the school, for civil rights reasons, should do first, is bring the parents involved. They separated him from the class, they had him in the principals, they called in the parents, and I think it's much more egregious to see the kind of things that kid was like drawing of, like, shooting classmates on his Instagram, saying that he's going to do a school shooting, and they didn't notify the school that he had just gotten a new gun. They didn't see anything wrong there. Like, that's the point where it comes on the school, rightfully so, should not be able to just immediately, like, throw a kid in jail. I think it comes down to the parents. Like, I know if I saw my kid doing that, like, I'd immediately put my kid in, like, some kind of rehabilitation camp. Like, that's fucking hugely antisocial behavior that is completely unacceptable. So does the school deserve some blame? I mean, I wouldn't be against that. It does,
just allowing him to just go back to school, in my opinion, after seeing the drawing that literally was him saying, I want to shoot people, and, like, people getting shot on the fucking drawing.
Well, so that's where I think what's going to become extremely material in this case is what happened in that parent meeting.
In the meeting, yeah, that's huge.
If the parents were the driving, I have a feeling the school probably was pretty set on completely removing this kid, and I think it was probably the parents who were like, "Oh, he's just Joe. He watches that cartoon on TV or so, whatever." Like, whatever bullshit excuse, and the school was probably kind of like, you know, hands off with it. Just
But it's
okay.
not. There's no way that the parents have the power to force the school to still have him go back to class. Like if the school is like, no, you need to take your child, like they have that power to do that. No, like no way the parents have the power to do the opposite.
Well, maybe he had gotten some kind of punishment, and again, it was the same day, right? You know, like they didn't even realize that, you know, they had sent him back to class, and he went to go get his weapon.
So the other thing about this too comes down to Michigan, like guns on law guns, and apparently there is no like safe carry law. Like it's not like your gun has to be locked away in a safe or something in Michigan, unlike Massachusetts where I think you have to do that.
Well,
But
I think
they're alleging that it wasn't a locked box anyways.
Well, here's the other thing though, is that the other legal landmine they stepped on though is that you are legally allowed to purchase a firearm for a minor, but there are pretty strict restrictions that come with it, and I think they totally did not follow those restrictions. It's like you can buy one for a minor and you can use it with them when you're in their strict supervision, but if they get access to that gun that you supposedly bought for them and you're not supervising them, I think you've stepped in it.
Say you're a parent and you locked it away, like you bought the gun for him and you're only allowed to use that gun when you're around, and you put it in a locked safe, and the kid like sneakily finds the key and breaks into it. Are the parents still like considered gross negligent?
I think so, yeah, because it's like you didn't obviously have it secure enough. You know, like what's the point of a locked box if they know where the key is? Like you didn't do that side of it.
Because I think that's the bar that comes with involuntary manslaughter. Is it's not even negligent.
Well,
like
that's the line though too. I think there have been school shooting parents in the past who have been charged with like negligence, but that's a much smaller charge than involuntary manslaughter because
it's gross negligence.
Yeah, they're insinuating here that the parents, like, with reckless abandon, knew that their kid was probably going to use this gun to hurt somebody, and they bought it anyway. They kept, you know, there was even that text message that's going to be very damning to any jury. LOL, you got to learn to not get caught or something like that when looking up ammo.
Yeah, but honestly, I didn't think that was a big deal because that was in reference to him being caught searching for ammunition. You know, and I can understand a parent being like, oh, you shouldn't be searching for ammunition while you're in school. You know, like you shouldn't do that. Or you shouldn't get caught doing that, you know?
It does.
It's like if some kid was like, you know, looking up porn in school, it's like you can't get caught doing that. You know, if you want to do it, sure, just don't get caught.
Well, yeah, but if you say that about porn and then the kid goes on to like rape somebody, that's not going to look good either. You know, like it shows that you have a pretty laissez-faire attitude to like what is pretty not good behavior in a school setting, and I think it's gonna harm them in the trial. It's gonna show that.
I mean, there's no laws that say you can't search for ammunition in your school, right? It's not like he did anything illegal.
No, but that's not the point, right? The point is, did these parents encourage this kind of behavior in a way that led to him doing this shooting that they should have, in good conscience, have been able to prevent?
Yeah,
I mean, that's how these cases work, right? It's like it's not always, it's about building your narrative of the case and then proving that narrative is the correct one, and within that narrative, here's where the legal ramifications are.
Yeah, so I think, like you said before, it all comes down to what was said in that meeting.
I think that's going to be huge. That's definitely going to be huge.
They showed some concern, and they were like, you know, why don't we just take him back? And what if the teacher was like, no, it's okay. Like, we'll watch him for today. He can go back to class.
That could.
Or it could have been.
I think that could definitely shift the case for them.
The narrative.
Yeah. I think they're still probably going to get at least. I think they're going to be charged still with like gross negligence of a weapon or whatever charge that would be, no matter what. But the involuntary manslaughter is going to be a battle of narrative. There is no objective fact here, you know, unless there is a smoking gun of like, yeah, you should go shoot your school in a text message or something. You know, that would probably do them in pretty quickly. But well, also fleeing the court is also a huge strike against them. That was a bad move.
I don't know. That was weird. I watched the arraignment this morning. It was very bizarre. Like their attorneys for the two parents were like, we were in court all day yesterday. Like we weren't aware of like what time the arraignment was. Like it is weird that they were trying to make it seem like they were scared for their lives and they were just hiding somewhere until they had to go to court, and they didn't know when they were supposed to go to court.
Well, there's also an international airport in Detroit, so that doesn't look good for them either.
Yeah, right on the border. 1 second, yeah. All right, I'm back.
Word.
So what were we saying?
I mean, I think we pretty much wrapped it there. I guess
Yeah.
the only other thing that I say, and I've said this before about other instances, it's like, in a sick kind of way, kind of funny to me that like we joke about living in this surveillance state where like you Google the wrong thing and suddenly you're on the CIA's watch list. But like this kid was literally like Instagramming like, I am literally going to shoot people. Like, you know, and like nobody did anything. Like that's just weird to me, because I actually do believe that we live in somewhat of a surveillance state. I think that there is a lot of that going on, but then it's like, why doesn't something this fucking blatant get picked up on?
So I think that's kind of the problem, you know. It's like I feel like these FBI, CIA people are trying to like look for the people that would be kind of saying this shit but trying to be sneaky about it, and it's the people that are so obvious and blatant that they think it's like a joke or like not worth looking into. You know, like a 15-year-old kid saying, oh, I want to blow up a building, you know, probably isn't going to get as much attention as, I don't know, like a terrorist like trying to be sneaky about it. But then how do you know he's being sneaky about it? I don't know. I just feel like it's almost so like oblivious, like apparent that they didn't do anything. You know, it's almost too clear as day that they didn't do anything, if that makes sense.
Is that, maybe that is it? Yeah, maybe, because the Parkland kid was the same way. I mean, his was a little less obvious. He was doing it on like YouTube comments, but he literally had comments on YouTube that were like, I'm going to shoot up my school next week, and this is going to be a good time in Minecraft.
Like, where are all the other kids, too, that are in the high school? Like,
well, so that's the other thing I heard in initial reporting of this story. I had heard that there was some kind of rumor going around the school that this was going to happen. There was kids who didn't show up. So, I mean, I don't know, if kids are that convinced that something like that's going to happen, you'd think somebody would raise
school would know
some alarms.
And that's the other thing too. Like, there were 2 separate meetings too.
Oh yeah, it happened before.
With the school. Right. No, like within the same like few days. I think there was a meeting Friday.
Was it that close?
Monday. Yeah, it was like back-to-back days over the weekend, and they were about different things. So I'm curious to see what more information comes out too. You know, honestly, as it stands now, like I feel like it is going to be hard for the prosecution to win. That's just my guess based on what's out there now. So we'll see what other evidence comes out.
Yeah, I would withhold any real guess until we hear about that meeting. I think that's the biggest factor, right? Because it's right before it happened, and who was pushing to send this kid back into class.
And that's the other thing that I was kind of confused about, because a lot of people on the news were like criticizing the parents for not like checking the kid's bag when he was in the meeting at the school, but like, shouldn't the school still have like the same sort of like requirement? Well, not requirement, but like.
Well, so here's the thing, right? Here's the other factor. Here's the thing that's going on. And I noticed this yesterday when I was watching some coverage on it from Fox News. The Republican project right now is to shift all blame away from the parents and onto the school, because the truth is those parents are an average Fox News viewer. Like, they know that they can't criticize these parents too heavily without criticizing their audience very heavily. So I've seen them try to shift as much blame to the school as possible. And I'm not here to defend the school. I mean, I think they probably do hold some blame, but without hearing the meeting, I do think a lot of this falls on the parents, and they're the ones who should have the most intimate knowledge of where their kid is at. They're the ones that bought him a gun not knowing that he was in this state, or maybe they did know. Who knows? But we'll find out.
So another thing that was kind of weird to me is like, so they pressed these charges on these parents the other day, but yet they didn't know where the fucking parents were. Like, who presses charges on people and don't know where they are to, like, arrest them? Like, the day of the shooting, they, like, right away knew that the parents, like, 3 or 4 days before had bought the gun for the kid. Like, don't you think they would have at least, like, kept eyes on the fucking parents? Like, how the fuck were they able to escape? And, like, no one knew where they were for, like, 24 or 48 hours.
Well,
You would think that they'd be
I
watching
think speaks to some of the same criticism of like the Brian Laundrie case, right?
I'm not familiar with that one, I think.
Gabby Petito, that girl.
I don't know.
You didn't hear anything? That was like, this story was pretty big a few months ago, back in like September.
Doesn't ring the bell. Maybe if I saw, like, what was the
Yeah,
case about?
it was about this girl who was like trying to start like an Instagram travel blog, which made her kind of online. I think that's why it got a lot of traction. And she went missing while she was on this trip with her boyfriend. And there was like a video, a police video.
Oh, yeah, they got lost in the mountain range or something.
They were in the mountains, yeah. And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
came
yeah.
back from the trip alone to his parents and was like free to do whatever he wanted for like 5 days. And then he disappeared. And now actually just, I think maybe a few weeks ago now, they did confirm they found his body in the Florida boonies or whatever, the Everglades.
So he killed himself or whatever?
Yeah, and they
died.
say he died of a
Okay.
bullet wound to the head. Still a
So
lot of
how
weird
the
things about
parents-
that case. I haven't looked too much into it, but there's some definitely weird shit going on there. But that's a whole nother can of worms that I'm not really prepared to get into. But
Yeah,
I think it's a
that's
similar,
fine.
in terms of the cops, I think it's a similar criticism of like, how the fuck did these people get away? Like,
Yeah, it seems nuts.
seems like right away they should have been under watch. But I guess, well, the thing that had happened was the police had come to look for him right
Hold on,
immediately.
hold on.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Bad, bro.
Word. What was I
So-
saying? Oh yeah. I think part of the reason they were able to slip away is, I think the police did come like pretty immediately after the charging to come, arrest them or whatever, process them, and they weren't there. So that's when the original BOLA went out, and then they were able to contact the lawyers, and the lawyers were like, oh no, they're not running away. Like they're just
It's one of those giants.
they're fleeing for their safety. They don't feel safe in this town. They think someone's going to come after them, which I guess the police were like, okay, that's fine, but they got an arraignment at 4:30. Are they going to show up for that? And the lawyers are like, oh yeah, they'll be there. And they didn't show up for that.
I watched the arraignment this morning. The lawyers said that they had no idea that it was at 4 o'clock.
Did they say that?
Yeah, the defense lawyer said that this morning at the arraignment that was held this morning instead of yesterday at 4.
I guess that would probably be a convenient narrative for them, right?
Yeah.
Because I think saying they knowingly didn't show up to the arraignment would definitely be pretty damning immediately.
She also said she was in court all day too. So how would a defense attorney be able to go to another arraignment for a different client when she's at court herself for a different client?
Oh.
And it just seems like, listening to it this morning, there was definitely some miscommunication. Like, there was very bad communication all the way around.
Well,
Between
unfortunately,
the police department.
Unfortunately for them, that miscommunication is going to fall on the parents, because
I honestly don't think they're going to get additional charges. They showed up like the next morning for the
they were
arraignment.
arrested, bro. Do you not see the video of them? They were hiding in a building's basement, and now there's actually talk of someone let them into that building. They're not saying what building it was, if it was like an apartment building or retail or something. It was in downtown
but
Detroit.
that kind of backs the story they were trying to say. Like, they were just in hiding because they were afraid for their lives.
Well, but they were also, there was like a bolo out for their arrest from the police, and they were hiding in a building without telling the police where they were, because they can at least tell the police where they are. It all doesn't add up, bro. Like, I think they were trying to flee.
They said their phones were off, so I don't know if their phones were dead.
And here's the other thing. This kind of behavior leads me to believe that there is a smoking gun somewhere, that he has maybe mentioned to his parents that this damn school's trying to indoctrinate him to CRT, and he won't be part of it. And his parents were kind of like encouraging him to maybe not specifically shoot up the school, but, violently rebel in some way.
Yeah. Definitely bizarre.
But yeah,